Fitness has always been an integral part of my lifestyle. So when I received the diagnosis of MS, I didn't know what that would mean for me or for my body. My left leg got slow, and I was unsure whether I'd ever be able to get back to a full workout. But I made a decision to move anyway, to show up even though I didn't feel normal. I told myself I'm going to continue to work out with the hopes of regaining my strength. Then one day I realized that the more I continued to work out, the better I felt. The less spasticity, the more mobility. That's when it clicked. Movement really is the secret sauce. So the Misunderstood Foundation was primarily created to share that secret, to encourage and to inspire those living with MS to prioritize their movement. Movement truly is a form of medicine.
I was diagnosed in 2023 with relapsing remitting MS.
I was diagnosed with relapsing remitting multiple sclerosis in 2016.
I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, I want to say 2000.
I was diagnosed with relapsing remitting multiple sclerosis in 2016.
I was diagnosed in 1997.
I was diagnosed with MS in July of 2024.
I was diagnosed with relapsing multiple sclerosis back in 2016.
I was diagnosed with relapsing remitting multiple sclerosis.
I've been doing research in the area of exercise for people living with multiple sclerosis for the past 20 years. Our research focuses on developing evidence-based exercise programs that can be delivered in supervised or home-based settings. Project teams targeted exercise for African Americans with multiple sclerosis is delivering a home-based exercise training program based on the guidelines for people living with multiple sclerosis. And we're examining the effects of this program on outcomes such as walking dysfunction and physical quality of life in African Americans living with multiple sclerosis. We hope this program can be utilized across all individuals who are African American with MS for improving outcomes such as walking and quality of life, but also symptoms such as fatigue and depression and other outcomes of multiple sclerosis. I think one of the most profound and innovative results of our research is the pathways through which exercise training can restore functions such as cognition and walking. We've been able to demonstrate that exercise improves the structure and the connectivity of areas within the brain, and these changes in brain structure and function and connectivity can explain why exercise improves cognition and walking impairment in people living with multiple sclerosis.
My initial symptoms, which I know now was the result of a relapse, a major relapse, were vertigo and balance. I wasn't able to walk on my own, was crawling around the house quite a bit, and then started to walk around, but I was really holding on to walls. Those were the major two. The migraine and subsequently nausea also kicked in. And then over time, because I was really active with these symptoms, the vertigo lasted 40 plus days, actually 3 months, if I really break it down. The vertigo lasted so long that it was noticeable when it went away. But then the numbness and the tingling started, and the muscle spasticity started, and the really, really intense back pain started. So everything was flaring up.
My first definitive symptom was optic neuritis. I was 17 years old. I went to go see an optometrist, ophthalmologist, and neuro-ophthalmologist, but ultimately did not get an MRI. 4 years later, I had a whole host of new symptoms in between that would kind of come and go. And ultimately, what led to my diagnosis was foot drop and urinary incontinence. Both of these got me to go into the emergency room and really advocate for myself and explain that I know I look all right, but something's wrong and I need an MRI.
One of my first physical signs was that I had optic neuritis. Numb feet, numb shins, and numb spots all over my body, along with some migraines and things like that. I couldn't add numbers together. I went to lunch with a friend and followed her home instead of going to my house. So some very strange things were happening with my body and my mind.
When it first showed up, it was major fatigue and numbness, mostly on my right side, like numbness, like when you fall asleep on your hand and it's numb. I went from long distance running. I was training for the New York Marathon. Um, and I went from running 20 miles to struggling to walk 2 miles or 2 blocks even to the subway. Even after traumatic brain injury in 2024, the way MS had shaped me to adapt helped me push through challenges, some of the hardest times of my life, and gave me a blueprint for recovery from that.
Well, initially, I was seeing double. The journey has been relapsing, remitting. It gets better, it gets worse. Brain's still there. Legs sometimes aren't. But with relapsing, remitting comes multiple different symptoms.
So July of 2024, I actually was in church, and all of a sudden during praise and worship, I wasn't able to put my hands together and clap. I wasn't able to raise my hands. It was like a steady decline of like not being able to put my hands up and put my hands together. But later on, I did some reflection, and I realized that year or two before that incident, July 2024, I had stuffiness in my ear, but now I come to understand that maybe those were early signs. Tingling in my feet and stuffiness in my ear were the initial signs, I believe, now that I know that that can be an indicator of MS. And then ultimately the left side of my body just going completely numb in the middle of church, July 2024.
I started having, at the time, tremors in my right side, where my whole right side of my body would lock up and I would shake, and it would just lock up for a few seconds. And then as that time went on, for me not treating it, it got worse. It kept getting worse and worse and worse. I went to the hospital because of one of those tremors that happened when I was on a freeway in Los Angeles. Thank God I didn't have any bad accident. They did an MRI on me and a bunch of other tests. That's when they found out that I had spots on my brain. They called them spots at the time. And then my right eye went gone. It was gone. I couldn't see out of my right eye. Then that's when they did another emergency MRI on me at the time. I had more spots on my brain than I did from the previous MRI. And that's when everything went crazy. Everything went haywire after that.
The first 14 years of my diagnosis, I really kind of kept it as a secret. I had like a shroud of shame that I was carrying around. I continually suffered with back-to-back relapses. I had suffered with optic neuritis, losing my eyesight in my left eye for several months, foot drop, spasms, tingling, bowel issues, bladder issues. I suffered with migraines, lots of different neurological and physical issues that were affecting my daily life continually. The higher the stress, the more struggles that I had gone through. So proper strength training, when I started to implement that about 7 years ago, I started to see a change, which then evoked me to become a certified personal trainer and MS fitness specialist. I find that strength training and focus-driven movement really helps that brain to muscle connection. It has helped me overcome the deficiencies that MS has caused in my body in the earlier years. I started to avoid the high aerobic exercise, which was causing my core temperature to get high, which caused my body to get wonky. And I realized that strength training is really more beneficial for me. I no longer suffer with foot drop. I don't have any issues with my grasping, and just between movement and proper nutrition, it has been a game changer for me.
How it helped me reconnect back with my body. You know, I literally, I've been weight training since I was 14 years old. So weight training has always been a thing that I've always been able to do. But I was never really able to connect with my muscles the way I do now. So having MS, it really forced that mind to muscle connection even more. You have to put your body under this stress, I feel, in order to relieve stress. So people say you shouldn't overheat yourself, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do this, you can't build muscle. I really beg to differ. I think everybody's different. If you don't use your muscles, you will lose them. So I definitely didn't want to do that. I definitely recommend moving your muscles, putting your body under that stress, and watching the magic happens as you keep going forward.
I like to do yoga for mental. I'm also starting Pilates, or just got into Pilates, and then also just regular strength training as far as like dumbbells, kettlebells, doing squats and different things like that. A lot of walks. Walks are good because I think, again, I use it as a check-in for myself to see like, okay, you made it on this mile walk. And I think it does help, again, like with my confidence in that, okay, I can do this mile walk, or in my confidence that like, okay, I don't have to focus so much on lifting the foot. It's just naturally happening. My gait is more smooth.
Exercise absolutely helps. Exercise is good for you both mentally and physically. Symptoms of MS have things like core weakness or, a generalized weakness as well. With the exercise, I found the ability to live a real life. My preferred exercise, let's see, two things, biking and HIIT classes. Both of those helped out an amazing amount. Yoga also was very good. I'd say those three were tops. Exercise, strengthening, core strengthening, yoga, and range of motion. Made me feel better. It made me feel good about myself. It made me feel strong, even if some days are weaker. Because anytime you have a severe stress to the body, you can look for a MS relapse and the need for steroids, the need for staying away from people for a little bit. And it's just all part of it, but it empowers you.
Movement has been really life-changing for me, both physically and mentally. I was an endurance athlete before MS began, but I'm much more one now. I run ultra marathons and I do endurance cycling, and those things give me strength and balance and joy. Every time I clip into my bike or I lace up my running shoes, I feel gratitude for what my body still can do. And I think I get to do this. So for me, movement isn't just training, it's medicine and it's freedom and it's hope. It's really important.
Well, this is a big one for me. My podcast is called Move It or Lose It. So from the very beginning of my diagnosis, I never stopped. And I would say I'm a big rule follower, but back in those days, they would say just to rest, not to put too much on your body. I remember the first VHS tape I saw was of a woman strolling like very slow. And I thought, screw this. I started running, lifting. Was that the best thing for MS at the time? I have no idea because they didn't have any direction for us. I believe that that's kept me where I'm at. I don't have a ton of symptoms you can see, obviously, symptoms unseen. Doesn't mean it keeps you from never having a symptom, but I think I do much, much better than a lot of people that I see. And I believe it's completely due to movement. I believe that that is the key to our feeling better and stronger. And I think without it, we don't have the strong defense that we can have with movement.
Exercise has had a profound impact on my MS journey. I exercise every single day. I usually do anaerobic activities, but I do try and get my heart rate up. I try to superset. Every now and then I'll run a mile or so, but I can't even summarize how much exercise has helped me in my MS journey.
My go-to is walking. And walking for me, it comes from a couple of different places. One, being able to go and clear my brain, clear the slates. And I've always been an avid walker. Not being able to walk is actually what pushed me even further to fully regain my balance. Walking is meditative for me. It allows for me to connect, but it also reminds me of how you tend to take things for granted. The other preference is Pilates. Reformer Pilates specifically, helped me not only rehab my back, but then also my balance and strength training, the small muscles in the body. That's my go-to. My third is yoga, in which I've always been a yoga girl. And now yoga for me is one of the things that I attribute to my recovery. So those are my three go-tos. Now I'm leaning into working out and strengthening my body for more than the surface reasons.
I believe if it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you. Movement is the most crucial thing we can do for MS. I would say move it or lose it.
Movement is the best medicine.
Movement is power. Every time I move my body, I get more powerful. I get the energy spark in my system. I get the reset of my mind. And so to me, movement is the ultimate power.
Movement is gratitude in motion.
Movement is freedom. The freedom to choose how I live my life, how I excel in life. It is motivation.
You almost got me with this question. It's a little emotional because it's like the initial scare of getting diagnosed with MS. Now for me, movement is a blessing because it was taken from me initially. And you don't realize how much you take for granted, just being able to be independent on your own.
So movement to me is my fuel to take back my body, to take back my strength that multiple sclerosis diagnosis 21 years ago tried to take from me. So movement is truly medicine. I believe in that statement, and I look forward to seeing everybody out there moving, focusing on their self-care to stay ahead of this disease.
Movement is medicine because it activates nearly every physiological system in the human body in a coordinated and sophisticated manner, such that those physiological systems must adapt with regular exposure and ultimately explain why exercise is medicine.
I would say movement is medicine. I like the movement is medicine, but I would say movement is therapy. So movement is my therapy, and movement is my way of life.